Welcome to the 3 best kept secrets of stopping urine leakage masterclass. I would love to know where you're watching from, so let me know in the chat. Can I say how glad I am that you're here? I am Dr. Cassie DeWitt. I am a doctor of occupational therapy and a pelvic floor therapist. My career mission is to educate, empower, and excite women to stop leaking urine and regain control over their bladders. I want you to stay until the end to learn as much as you can. So if you do stay, I have put together something pretty special that will only be available for the 24 hours after the training is complete. You deserve to have this time dedicated to you. So before we get started, let's shut out as many distractions as possible. Here is a quick rundown of what we are going to learn about today. I will teach you the anatomy of the pelvic floor and its 5 functions. We will discuss what is considered normal versus what is pelvic floor dysfunction. And I share my top bad habits to stop today that can cause more urine leakage. I would love for you to screenshot this training and tag me on social media if you're comfortable. I want as many women as possible to know their pelvic floor and how to optimize its function. I will take a wild guess and say you struggle with urine leakage. Maybe you have been told there is nothing you can do about leaking, or even assumed because so many women you know think it's normal to leak once you reach a certain age or have children. Throughout my practice, I have had the pleasure of meeting thousands of women, various cultures, careers, and lifestyles, but similar stories, often saying the exact same thing as each other. Here are a few examples. I thought this was normal. When I asked for help from my doctor, they only gave me medicine or offered surgery. I was embarrassed to bring it up to my doctor. I didn't think there was anything I could do about it because everyone and every friend I know leaks urine. My doctor told me this is just a part of aging. I was told just to do more Kegels, so I've been doing more Kegels and I still leak urine. If you have been doing what you've been told to do, or maybe did some Google searching on your own, can I ask you this? Why haven't you seen results from what you're doing to limit your urine leakage? Do you really think it is because you haven't done enough Kegels? Because if that is the case, let me just get this out there right now. That is not why. The frustration and embarrassment builds as you do not get answers and you do not see any improvement with the answers you've received. So then we start believing there's nothing we can do to improve our quality of life by limiting the leakage. I wonder if you felt the way I have felt before. Give me a thumbs up in the chat if you leak urine and it disrupts your quality of life. Maybe you would love to leave the house without the worry of leaking urine. Can you imagine if you could get in your car and the thought of pads, urine leakage, bathrooms never even crossed your mind? You wish you could do the things you love, like going to lunch with friends, working out, and traveling without the fear of leaking, smelling, or drenching your clothes. Though everyone's story and dysfunction looks different, we feel similar. We want to participate in life without the fear of leaking. We don't want to smell like urine. We don't want to be humiliated or uncomfortable with a leaking pad. We want to run errands without knowing where every bathroom is located from our front porch to our destination. For me, and I don't want to speak for anyone else, I always felt like a burden to the people I was traveling with. I would even try to make jokes that I had to stop and frequently pee. We don't want to burden people with our issues with voiding. Does this sound like you? If so, great, you are in the right place. But even if you have never felt any of these feelings, This is still a fantastic place to learn about your pelvic floor health and your bladder health. Before we get into the training, I want to share this with you. I suffered with pelvic floor dysfunction for 12 years before I was able to find help, before someone listened to my needs, before someone used evidence-based interventions and sent me to a therapist specializing in pelvic floor dysfunction. My pelvic floor dysfunction started in high school. It started with urine leakage to full bladder emptying with no control, constipation, and pelvic pain, turning into pelvic organ prolapse a few years later. I woke several times a night to void. The lack of sleep as a teenager into my young adulthood still makes me think, how did I get through the day? The embarrassment and fear I felt were debilitating. It hindered my participation in doing things I love to do. I remember running on a treadmill at a busy gym at 22 years young and pouring urine. And at the same time, tears were streaming down my face. I was so tired of not having control. I was angry at the interventions, including lots and lots of medication, surgeries, and even being put into a medically induced menopause for 6 months. I was frustrated being told I need to relax to decrease pain with intercourse, or I need to drink a glass of wine. I was so disappointed with my body, and I had zero faith in my medical care team. Zero, none, zilch, nothing. Type me in the chat if you have experienced any of these feelings. When I met my pelvic floor therapist, I had a little expectation of a good outcome. You could say I was jaded. When she began to teach and ask questions, I learned fast this was different. No one had ever asked me the question she did. I had been at this game for 12 years. How has no one asked these questions or educated me on my pelvic floor and bladder health? Every test ran was invasive. Every test ran came back normal. Do you know what that made me feel like? I felt broken. Maybe it is in my head. Maybe my care team is right. It was as though I wanted them to find something wrong, so I felt validated. After one appointment with my pelvic floor therapist, I knew I was going to get better. The hope she gave me is a feeling that I will never forget. I have chills right now thinking about it. I can physically still feel that conversation. I would spend as much time as possible improving my pelvic floor and bladder health as necessary. I had already wasted years, missed countless events, memories, and constantly feeling embarrassed and afraid. Not to mention the amount of money I spent trying to decrease my urinary incontinence. I was all in. If anything, I just learned I have muscles. In fact, I have a lot of muscles in the base of my pelvic floor and the base of my pelvis that I never even knew existed. So already I'm ahead of where I had been stuck for years. One session taught me more than anyone had taught me in 12 years. After 4 weeks, drastic changes were happening. I slept through the night for the first time I could recall in years. Some days I was blown away by the simplicity. Oftentimes, I think we equate simplicity with not working. I doubted her often, bless her heart. But I saw the results with minor tweaks to simple behaviors, such as not pushing to pee or changing my position and posture on the toilet. When she began to teach me how to stop urgency, to be honest, I thought she was nuts. I did. There was no way my bladder would wait for me to take some breaths. It just leaked all the time. It was too simple. After taking all the medications I had taken with all the yucky side effects and even having all the surgeries and those not working, I just doubted her so much. It all just seemed too simple. However, with each day, I noticed something new about my coping skills or my strength and my control. With the extra sleep, you could say I had my aha moment. I could help others. I could teach women like me. But first, I needed to recover from my pelvic floor dysfunction. I formed a relationship with a stranger in a matter of minutes. She and I worked together for months. My responsibility was as big as hers, but we shared a commitment. I became obsessed with pelvic floor rehabilitation. She would print out articles I could read on various interventions used. These articles included statistics that blew me out of the water. I felt so alone in my dysfunction for years. Little did I know I was one of millions who leaked urine. The care she showed me, I vowed to her that I would share the same care with my patients, and I do. From patient to the therapist, I became the expert. I earned my doctorate in occupational therapy, spent every waking moment I could going to pelvic floor courses and shadowing other pelvic floor therapists. Fast forward, I have taught thousands of women how to improve their quality of life by decreasing urine leakage. I partner with women to empower them with their bodies. I partner with women to teach them the control they have over their pelvic floor health. I educate women so they can advocate for their health. I know now my dysfunction was part of how I needed to become the therapist I am today. It makes me a better therapist to understand what women are going through. I can relate in some way to every single one of my patients. When I graduated, I worked for an outpatient pelvic floor clinic and in a hospital setting. And the ability to teach women how to decrease or even eliminate their pelvic floor dysfunction is a dream come true of mine. I had my pelvic floor dysfunction very early. Therapy worked for me, but I wanted to show you that these techniques work for different stages of life. Jennifer told me, I left the house today for the first time in 20 years with no pad, not a drop of urine lost. 65 years young. Your words on bladder control changed my life. After 70 years of my bladder being in control, now I'm in control. This was from Maggie, 70 years young. Sam told me, I count meeting you and successfully completing the course as one of my top blessings. My goal for you at the end of this is to walk away knowing you are powerful. You can change your quality of life by decreasing symptoms of urinary leakage. So today, we are going to learn about the anatomy and functionality of the pelvic floor, what is normal versus what is dysfunctional, indicated by research, and habits we need to avoid that could be causing you to leak more urine. All right, let's get down to it. Part 1. The pelvic floor is the hammock of muscle structures at the base of the core system. The core system is a pressure system. Think about an elevator or even how a car piston works. It moves up and down. Our core system relies on our breath mechanics when moving about, along with strength to be able to move up and down like an elevator. This is why your breathing habits are so critical to your success. The pelvic floor is 3 muscle layers deep with 5 functions. Can you believe that? 3 muscle layers, some large, some small. Think about how much easier things will be when you know how to strengthen and work those muscles correctly. The 5 functions of the pelvic floor include sexual function, sphincteric function, meaning opening and closing of the sphincters. The sphincters are the little rubber band-like structures around the urethra. The urethra is what allows pee out, and the rectum, which allows poop out, but also to keep it in when we don't want it to be leaving our body. The pelvic floor supports the bladder, uterus, and rectum. It helps stabilize the hips and the spine, and it acts as a sump pump for lymphatic fluid and blood flow. I have heard several misconceptions throughout the year, right? The years I have been in practice. Leaking urine is normal after you have babies. Misconception. Leaking urine is what happens as we age. Not necessarily. Of course, I have to rush to the bathroom. My bladder will not wait for me because we got to train it to. If I don't go right when I need to, I will pour urine. Maybe, but we can still fix that. There is no way of improving these symptoms. Yes, there are. Maybe you've been told medications or surgery is the only way to improve these symptoms. Medication and surgery is an area that I'm so grateful that we have those interventions. But I feel we can do a lot before we get to those more invasive interventions. I can't skip the science part of the lesson. Why do we leak urine? Most likely one of two reasons. You have a hypertonic pelvic floor or a hypotonic pelvic floor. A hypertonic pelvic floor equals tight muscles. When a muscle or a group of muscle lacks range of motion, meaning it cannot fully relax or it can't fully contract, they cannot complete their functional jobs. Think about the bicep. If the bicep is contracted all day long, the bicep is the arm muscle in between your shoulder and your elbow. If that is contracted all day long, what would the strength of that arm demonstrate? What would the functionality of the arm look like? The same goes for the pelvic floor. Tight muscles lack coordination and strength as well. This is also known as an overactive pelvic floor. Often I hear in my DMs from women, I want a tight pelvic floor. We have been told tight equals satisfying. I always correct and explain. We want a strong pelvic floor to optimize the functions of the pelvic floor for our overall health, including our sexual health. So, how do you know if you have a hypertonic pelvic floor? You might experience some of these symptoms. These symptoms include, but are not limited to, urine leakage, pelvic pain, pain with intercourse, pain with OBGYN appointments, pain with tampon insertion or digital or finger penetration, constipation, pain in back and hips, or even abdominal pain. A hypotonic pelvic floor. Hypotonicity is described as decreased muscle tone. Our muscles have a resting tone. This means when they're not in use. A weak muscle tone is unable to optimize its function just like a tight muscle tone is. So to put it simply, they're weak. They needed to increase their strength and to operate as intended. So both hypertonicity and hypotonicity muscle structures can be considered weak. Our muscle requires range of motion and coordination to build strength. So how do you know if you're hypotonic? You could experience these various symptoms. These symptoms include, but are not limited to, vaginal heaviness, vaginal flatulence, aka queefing, post-urination dribble, meaning you pee, you get up and you're dribbling urine, maybe extra wiping after a bowel movement, fecal urgency, or even fecal incontinence. However, it's not a clear-cut line. Is anything in science really? Often people can experience crossover symptoms, which means you could experience both of these symptoms with a hypo or hypertonic pelvic floor: urinary urgency, urinary incontinence, urinary frequency, incomplete bladder emptying, incomplete bowel emptying, and sexual dysfunction. And when I use the word incontinence, it means leaking urine or leaking bowel. So if I say urine, that is leaking pee. Urinary incontinence, if I say fecal incontinence, that is poop. Part 2. What does the research say about normalcy? Normalcy varies from person to person. We know this, right? Research does indicate a normal range for our specific topic of urinary incontinence. So let's dive in. Normalcy for urine output, meaning how many times a day do we go, is 5 to 7 times in a 24-hour period we should be avoiding urine. No more than one nighttime waking if you are above the age of 65. If you're below the age of 65, and even I don't like that age number, I would like everybody to sleep through the night, but one time a night is indicated normal at 65 and above. We always make goals to sleep through the night, just so I'm clear on that. I'm a big advocate for sleep. Medication and or diagnoses can skew these numbers. So developing goals for the person includes taking into account these areas. However, my patients throughout the years have done incredibly well improving their bladder and pelvic floor health, even with these diagnoses and medications. I know you think you know how often you go, but I want you to know for sure. So how do we do this? We learn to collect our data through a bladder log. Here is an example of one. I encourage my Urine Good Company students to fill out 3 days worth of a bladder log. This is an entire module in my Urine Good Company course. A bladder log can be filled out to understand how your bladder behaves. You will write down what time did you go to the bathroom, how much did you drink, and what did you drink? Did you leak any urine? What activity were you doing when you leaked urine? Was there urgency? Did you have this compelling urge to get to the bathroom? I want you to take a picture of this bladder log and start collecting your data. Dysfunction. I am not a fan of this word. So please note that by using this context, I mean outside of normal range indicated by research. This does not mean that you are broken. I want you to think of it like this. If you're outside the normal range, so you're outside of that 5 to 7 times, or maybe you wake up more than one time a night, or maybe you do leak urine, we work towards improving your functionality so your urine leakage, urgency, frequency, and nighttime waking decrease so you can spend more time doing the things you love. So maybe some possible dysfunctions that are something you can think of with dysfunction are stress incontinence, meaning if you cough, sneeze, laugh, jump, exercise, even walking or movement, that's stress incontinence. And that has to do with breathing mechanics. Maybe you have urgency where it's this compelling urge that you have to go to the bathroom right now. Some people leak with urgency, some people do not. But having your bladder dictate how fast you need to get to the bathroom is something we work to eliminate. And then frequency. Are you going enough during the day? I think oftentimes we think frequency only means we're going too much. But I do have women who don't go enough, and that is stressful on the bladder. But we also want to make sure we're not going too frequently. Part 3, bladder habits. Are you making your urinary dysfunction worse with your bladder habits? Let's see. Remember hypertonicity versus hypotonicity. When you look at the description of these, we have an understanding of muscle tone, tight muscles or more lax muscles. We want to strive for somewhere in the middle. However, we are often taught to do more Kegels when we leak urine. Oh, just do your Kegels. Why is this important to understand? This might be one of the most important lessons I teach you in this video. The range of motion in our pelvic floor muscles is critical to their ability to be strengthened along with coordinated. A lot of coordination needs to happen in the muscles throughout the day to function. I want you guys to write this down in your notes. This is why Kegels alone will never stop your urine leakage. This can be a little trickier to teach, so bear with me. If we are doing what we think are correct Kegels, why are we not improving pelvic floor strength? First and most obvious to me is we are never taught how to do a correct pelvic floor contraction. But second, we are not taught how important the mechanics of our breath is during important occupations such as taking care of your home and your children, unloading the dishwasher, getting out of a car, putting groceries away, picking up babies out of cribs, etc. These occupations require work. They have a load, just like deliberate exercise. We hold our breath or do not allow our pelvic floor to relax or contract to help with the load of these occupations or this work. So to put it simpler, stay with me now. We have decreased strength in our pelvic floor muscles. Then we hold our breaths or don't use our breath to help us and inadvertently increase the pressure against those muscles. And boom, we have stress incontinence. Once your breath improves, so will your strength. So I want you to pay attention to your breath throughout the day. Do you hold your breath? Do you notice your breath being held when you're watching TV? Or are you butt clenching? Or are you just stiff? We want to ensure that our oxygen is flowing through our core system. Think about a bicep contracted all day long again. I obviously have a thing for the bicep. You could say I like all muscles and how to improve their strength. So the elbow is bent all day long. Can you imagine how tight that muscle is, the bicep? With a muscle that tight, it will not be functional. Now think about years of the bicep being limited in range of motion or being tight. Could the bicep do a job of picking up a glass of water? Or what about wiping after you void? No, it can't because it has limited range of motion, decreased coordination, and no way can the muscle group function that way or how it was intended to function. What would happen if we put a weight in our hand of that dysfunctional muscle group, the bicep, and tried to make it stronger? Or maybe we're not even using a weight. We're just contracting that bicep more after years of it not having full range of motion. Can you see the correlation with Kegels? If the pelvic floor is tight and doesn't have full range of motion, and we're told to just do Kegels to stop urinary leakage, do you see why you're not getting stronger? We have to work on the relaxation part before we start strengthening. The pelvic floor operates like any other muscle group. This is why Kegels alone will never stop urinary leakage, nor should everyone start with Kegels. They could be causing more harm than good. When you contract a pelvic floor that does not have full range of motion and is tight, we can create more pelvic pain, more urinary incontinence, pain with intercourse, pain in hips and back, urgency, frequency. We have to work our breath to ensure the muscles of the pelvic floor are able to relax completely to then contract to build strength. How do we build coordination, range of motion, and eventually strength? We begin with the breath. When I am asked what is the most important exercise to do to stop leaking urine, this is my answer. I start each student out with this exercise. We have the ability to relax and demonstrate coordination through the muscle before we can ever work on strength. We can't build our house by building the second floor first. We start with the foundation. Our habits are so critical and will impact our functionality more than we can ever imagine. So, let's talk about habits we want to avoid. Get ready to take a screenshot of the next slide as a reminder that you're going to keep in your phone to look at. Habits we want to avoid as much as possible. No more peeing just in case. No rushing to the toilet. No hovering. We want to sit on the toilet seat. If this causes anxiety, bring wipes or create a toilet paper nest. No pushing to pee, no butt clenching, no sucking in the tummy, no holding your breath, and no jaw clenching. Here's some more testimonials I wanted to share with you guys. Amanda, I want to say again, thank you from the bottom of my heart for your program. You have truly changed my quality of life for the better. I can't say thank you enough. Shannon, 2 months of taking your course and practicing what you teach, leak-free, 41 years young. I didn't understand how pads impacted my confidence. I haven't worn a pad for a week and I feel like I could conquer the world. Just to recap, today you have learned about the anatomy and functionality of the pelvic floor. What is normal function versus what is dysfunctional? And habits to avoid that can cause urine leakage to worsen. My goal was to empower you with knowledge of your pelvic floor anatomy and functionality. I showed you my bladder log handout to start your data collection, how to use your breathing to increase pelvic floor function. Now that you are equipped with these strategies, can I ask you something? Why did you show up today? I am guessing it is because you're so tired of leaking urine. You leak urine and it disrupts your quality of life. You want to leave the house without the worry of leaking. You wish you could do the things you love to do without the fear of leaking. You want to stop wasting money on pads. If you are here, I know you want to stop leaking. I know you are tired of being embarrassed and holding back on doing life. You want to leave the house without the worry that you will wet through a pad. You want to stop wondering if there are enough bathrooms. We should have control enough to not have these thoughts consume our day. It's time for you to take action and learn how to stop leaking. This is what I call advocating for your health and wellness of your body. Even with other interventions, knowing how to care for your pelvic floor and bladder health is essential, right? I want you to consider if the medication you are taking stops working, if you have to get off of it for some reason, or if it does not eliminate the urine leakage, what can you do yourself? Or even before you take the medication, asking yourself, am I doing everything I need to do to eliminate the issue without medication? Ask yourself, what if the surgery fails eventually? Is there anything I can do now to improve my function? I want to encourage women to have control over their lives. This sometimes comes in the form of being really honest with ourselves. It is difficult to be honest when we don't understand the basic habits we are doing to cause more dysfunction or the basics of even our anatomy. I am 100% positive you will not regret the knowledge gained through learning the strategies to improve your pelvic floor and bladder functionality. It is your time. I want you to remember, not only did I overcome my leaking, but I'm not special. I didn't have any unique advantages when I started. I just wanted to stop leaking. I wanted to learn how to improve my health. I was tired of being embarrassed. I was tired of feeling I had no control over my body. I was tired of smelling like pee. I was tired of changing my pants several times a day. I poured urine. I dripped constantly. I had full bladder emptyings. I could not control when I exercised. I gave up things I loved to save myself the embarrassment of leaking urine. I carried around pads with me everywhere I went. I mapped out bathrooms and planned road trips around when I could stop and pee. Nothing I shared with you today is theory. These strategies I personally used with myself and my students through evidence-based research. These strategies facilitate the desired results. I must remind you that I'm a therapist. I want people to do what is best for them. I don't want people to continue to sit in dysfunction, not doing the things they love, and feeling as though there's no hope. You have options. I have created an online course to teach women how to stop leaking urine or seeing a pelvic floor therapist in your area. What works best for you? And the one you can be more consistent with is essential for you to think about. Some people want to be in the office for accountability. I get that. Others might not have access to a pelvic floor therapist or feel there is no way they can make time to see one on a weekly basis. Whichever avenue works best for you, choose that one. Just don't continue to leak and not get some kind of help. Remember, leaking is a symptom of dysfunction. And remember, there are other functions we need to protect, including support of the bladder, rectum, and uterus. I am sharing the online course I created for women to help them decrease or even eliminate urine leakage so you can decide what option is better suited for you when fixing urine leaks. So I'm so excited to share You're in Good Company with you. I created You're in Good Company to be the step-by-step guide to help you reduce urine leakage through bladder training and pelvic floor strengthening. We discussed earlier that we have tried things and they have not worked. I think it is important to show you how my online course is laid out. I took what I did in practice and put these strategies into the course. So let me break down the modules so you know what to expect. Module 1 will take you through a deeper dive into the anatomy and physiology of the pelvic floor. This is a foundational concept to ensure we understand what muscles we work with and how they should work. Module 2 teaches you what is considered normal through research. Our society, and yes, even our doctors, have described dysfunction as normal. I share with you what is considered normal function through the eyes of research and evidence. This is critical to grasp to ensure we take the necessary actions to advocate for our overall health. Module 3 will describe the symptoms of dysfunction, what is considered dysfunctional. As I stated before, I don't like the term dysfunctional. However, understanding where we can improve facilitates our ability to advocate for our bodies. Here is what one of my students told me after finishing the course. I still giggle at this email. I thought my dysfunction was leaking urine. When I learned about other dysfunctional symptoms, such as urgency and frequency, my eyes were open to holistically treating my pelvic floor and bladder by examining my habits. I initially skipped modules 1, 2, and 3 because I thought I knew what I needed to work on. Needless to say, these modules were critical to my success. Module 4 outlines how nutrition can impact the bladder. I will walk you through what the research says and what that means for you. We discuss water intake and how to drink enough water, but not spend your entire day in the bathroom. There's an actual way to train your bladder to withstand an appropriate amount of hydrating fluid. Module 5 is when we begin to look at our habits. I walk you step by step through this process of collecting and analyzing your bladder habits, routines, and patterns. This is an empowering module. The insight taken from data collection facilitates improved bladder health and function and gives you control. Module 6, I teach you how to sit on the toilet and techniques we can use to protect our organs, bladder, rectum, and uterus to prevent pelvic organ prolapse. Best when you void pee and poop. Who would have even known a posture on the toilet could help so much in organ protection? Module 7, the most beneficial exercise you will learn to do is diaphragmatic breathing. I find this so valuable. Even if you never enroll in this course, you have this to take with you. I relate the breath to the range of motion throughout the core system and how to use the range of motion to your advantage when improving pelvic floor strength, range of motion, and coordination. Module 8 will teach you how to become the boss of your bladder to limit frequency and urgency. You will be bossing your bladder around after this module. Say it with me now. I am the boss of my bladder. It is not the boss of me. Module 9 and 10 will teach you how to do a proper pelvic floor contraction. Some call this the Kegel. I will teach you the importance of this exercise and how it relates to functional movement. I am not the therapist who will say, go do 100 Kegels a day and you are cured. I don't know about you, but I don't have time to do 100 Kegels while laying on the couch. Let me teach you how to incorporate pelvic floor strengthening throughout your day so you can kill two birds with one stone. I have a bonus module on self-care products answering the questions of what to use and how to use it to protect your vulvar and vaginal tissue. We discuss lubrication, pads, tampons, and vaginal moisturizers. Most importantly, I share that our vulvas are self-cleaning ovens. No need for all the extra help trying to keep them clean with yucky, harmful products. What my clients are saying. Katie, busy mom here. No way could I have gone to pelvic floor therapy at this stage of life. The modules are quick and to the point. I can spend 10 minutes a day, go back and watch if necessary. It is a perfect setup for me. Janet says the lessons are quick. I can go back and watch them when I need to be refreshed. Knowing I don't have to commit even an hour a day blew my mind. So let's talk about what you get when you enroll. What's included? You get 10 modules, and then you get a self-care bonus module, instant access, go at your own pace, templates, resources, support, video and audio training. You can listen to your modules on the go or sit on your couch. This is a self-paced program. And any future updates I do is no extra fees once you purchase the course. To put a value on my results is challenging, right? Learning to control my bladder and strengthen my pelvic floor changed my quality of life. Decreasing my urine leakage, my freedom and confidence in doing everything I loved. Decreasing or eliminating my urgency made me feel powerful and learn how to work with my body, having no fear when I left my house, or not having the embarrassment of soaking wet pads are all really fantastic feelings. Not having to urinate 4 to 5 times a night changed everything for me. Learning these strategies changed what I could do actively. So it's hard to put into words the value I felt and continue to feel. Okay, what is the investment? The normal price of the course, if you went to enroll from my website on any given day, would be $347. But I did promise you something if you stayed until the end. For the next 24 hours, you can enroll for $297. You get 11 modules, handouts, templates, video training, and the private Facebook community for $297. I 100% understand the course is an investment. So I created a payment plan option to make it more doable for you to get started today. You will get immediate access today for only $134 with the payment option. Followed up with 2 more payments of $134, and that is billed monthly for a total of 3 payments of $134. As soon as you enroll, instant access, invitation to the private community, homework, worksheets, and the 11 modules. Here is a picture of the checkout page. Here are the final steps. Use the secure checkout using either PayPal or a credit card. Once you have purchased the course, you will receive an email pretty instantly from me and Teachable to make an account. Create an account, and there you will find the course and your immediate access. Next, you're going to receive that email from me welcoming you. In that email, you will find the link to our Facebook group. I would love for you to join. Answer the one question to allow you access to that group. This group is private and only people who purchase the course will be allowed. Make sure to check your spam, your promotions, or your junk folder for the email from Teachable and the email from me. Remember, these emails come quickly after checkout. The email from Teachable will have the directions on how to log in and access your course. Then we begin your bladder and pelvic floor training immediately. So when choosing what is best for you, whichever option, just never forget how wildly capable you are. Natalie stated her only regret was not enrolling sooner. I know you might have some questions, so let me answer some frequently asked questions. My doctor said leaking urine was normal, especially at my age. There is nothing I can do about it. So many things are wrong with this statement. You are not too old, and this is not normal. Research studies show women of various ages making massive improvements in their functionality. It is not normal to pee your pants. How long does it take to stop leaking urine? I can't answer this question. I have had women stop leaking urine after 6 weeks or even before. Each person is going to be different. Everyone is coming from different backgrounds, traumas, severity, various diagnoses, different ages, different symptoms. We are all so different. What I want you to focus on is giving your body the time it needs to heal from the habits and trauma we have spent years in. If you do implement the strategies I teach you, you will see improvements. I spent a long time working on my pelvic floor health, a long time. And I work on it every single day now, and I will work on it as long as I'm able to work on improving strength, functionality. Is this course good for someone who has pelvic pain? The diagnosis of pelvic pain needs to be addressed by a practitioner in person, in my professional opinion. If you have urinary incontinence and pelvic pain, I would 100% recommend seeing a pelvic floor therapist in person. I try to be extremely transparent about this. I feel I am too far gone. This one just kills me, and something I hear on a weekly basis. I don't want you to forget how wildly capable you are. You are never too far gone. Don't let anyone ever tell you that. Do you offer refunds? Because this is an information-based product, instantly accessible and downloadable, once the program is purchased, I cannot offer refunds. The content is yours to keep. How long do I have to finish the course? The course is 100% online and self-paced. Once you purchase the course, the education is yours. There is no other hidden fees or monthly subscriptions. You can come back and refresh yourself in a year, or the course is yours. You can take however long you want to finish it. You can binge watch the videos overnight if that's if that's what you want to do. Totally up to you. The course is yours. The offer will expire in 24 hours. You can purchase the course for the next 24 hours for $297. After the 24 hours, the course can be purchased for $347. I encourage you to take action to improve your pelvic floor and bladder health. Tammy was one of my first students. She stated, I don't leak urine anymore. And that was enough for me and still gives me chills today. Andrea, mother of 4, wrote, no more pads. I still get so many chills when I read these testimonials. I can't wait to watch you improve your quality of life through bladder and habit training and improving your pelvic floor health. So join us today. Click the button to enroll. I'm so excited for you. Thank you for spending this time with me. I don't take that lightly. Thank you for trusting in me to teach you. I'm so happy that you're here and advocating and taking that first step for your health. Happy training.